you can no longer try to tell everybody to put it in one spot, because it's just not going to happen. And it's just going to, right now too, we got people have working from home. So it's on their, at home device, it's on there's on their work device. We don't even know which device the information's on. So having it in the cloud and just being able to have that automation and collaboration, and then having the records people or the technology in the back kind of saying, okay, this is the record of, this is the official record here, and we're just going to follow that one through. That I see it happening. But it's, again, talking before, it's about your organization and what kind of resources you have.
Awesome. So I'm talking to Shelly Smith. She's a Records and Information Management Coordinator for Public Works Department, City of Winnipeg since October 2015, and the Program Director at ARMA Winnipeg Chapter, board member, and sits on the ARMA Region Canada Board. So Shelly, you were telling me a lot about the ARMA members are looking at the other organizations like DAMA, and they're comparing and contrasting the type of work that we do with ARMA and the type of work that's being done with DAMA, seeing how it can be complementary. Like in my opinion, my bookshelf has room for 2 books on it. There can be the records management and information management book, and then there can be the data science book sitting right beside it. And I've got plenty of room in my brain to see how all of these things function together. Maybe you could talk about how that actually creates opportunity for ARMA members, and how it might create a little bit of disparity too, in that maybe should I focus more on this or should I focus more on that?
Well, and I think in our information management and ARMA community, there's always been very, very many different certifications you can actually go after, and more come up. Like you can get an IGP, you can get a CRM. And then when it comes to DAMA, so we have like the IG book of knowledge, and then they have a DAMA book of knowledge. So it really depends on, I think, what works best for you. And so for me, and for, I think, the ARMA members, is to understand what's out there and then make a decision based on what's best for your profession or where you want to see your career going. So I don't think one's better than the other. I think a lot of it interlaps. So maybe you can make one great big book so you don't have to have 2 different ones, because the DM book of knowledge and the IG book of knowledge are very, very similar, interlapping with the governance and the privacy and the protection of data. So I don't think there's one better than the other, but I think you need to be able to be educated. And that's what I've liked to see at different conference. Speaking education is like, let's look at the certificates and which one is right for me. Because if you try to get them all, boy, that's a lot of dues you pay all year round.
Yeah, it's certainly, you can't be certified in everything. You can't know everything. That's impossible, and I'm not suggesting it. And however, you do have to know what you don't know. Exactly. And I think that's part of it, is like, okay, if I choose and I'm going to get certified this way, you still have to have a better than conversational understanding of whatever you don't choose. And because the idea of the ignorant specialist, the person that says, I only focus on security and I know what security is, and I don't care what the rest of you do, I'm only going to allow you to do the thing that I consider to be secure. I don't think we want non-collaborative people like that. I think we want people saying that I have a sense of what the rest of you are doing, and I'm open to hearing about it and seeing how that overlaps with my security experience, for example.
Exactly. And I think not just information management professionals, but I think those security professionals, and I think those data analysts, and that they're also realizing that in their profession too, that you can't just sit there and look at one thing, that you do really need to expand it. And like from information management professionals as well, they generally start with, like, I've heard you say it again, I'll say it again, is the library studies, master's in library studies, or master's in archives. That's not really what they end up doing. That's what they studied in school, and they're definitely very, very like significant, great skills to have in records management. But you're not a librarian, you're not an archivist, you're an information management professional. So you have to be pivoting and turning with the times. And I think that's very important for our membership and information management professionals right now, is to pivot with the times and go on with the data and find out more and collaborate with your colleagues, I guess, would probably.
I often use the words like explore versus exploit. So we explore when it's not obvious what the strategy is. We have to collaborate more. We have to spend more time with other people and finding out what we don't know. And then once we get the strategy in place and once we test it and validate that it's working, then you exploit it. You bring in people to specifically execute it until you run up against the next technological barrier, the next technological breakthrough that opens up your business more. And I do feel like we're in literally an exploratory phase with data right now, because there's so much of it. There's so many new ways of analyzing it, dealing with it, and there's so much that can be done with it that it was never possible before. That it's a great time to explore. And I feel like people like yourself, and certainly people like representing ARMA Canada, understand that and are excited about it. So the one of the old ways of talking was about trying to force people to do things and trying to force, okay, well, we're going to get buy-in from people, and then their VP is going to tell their organization that they must do this for the value of information governance. Like, oh, you got to put metadata on every file and you got to save it to the right spot in the taxonomy. It seems like that's going away in favor of better technologies, better integration with data science. In that, do you feel like at some point in the next 3, 5, 10 years, we will have solved that so that people don't have to be records managers themselves or asked to be, that at some combination of artificial intelligence, better interfaces, perhaps better integrations with cloud systems, we're going to get to the point where people don't have to worry so much about being offside with the records manager as they just do their work?
I absolutely see the technology going there, with the machine learning, that thing. Like they talked before a few years ago about no longer need for records managers. And I mean, of course, like, whoa, hold on a second. And that was about 3 or 4 years ago that I was at a conference where I was face to face with AI experts, and they're like, oh no, we'll just keep everything forever now. There's no need for records managers. But already in those last 2-3 years is when they're like, oh wait, no, we're keeping too much stuff. It's garbage. So now you need that information get manager back again. So being able to do those taxonomies, I don't think that was, or having users do that, I don't think that was ever really that effective. I've always been the type that if you teach them, they'll understand. I still believe like naming conventions, file plans, and standardization is still something necessary, because then you can talk to one another about, like if you put different subject titles in an email and meanwhile you're talking about the same project, if you had that consistency and standardization, I feel that there's still a need for that there. You can no longer try to tell everybody to put it in one spot, because it's just not going to happen. And it's just going to, right now too, we got people have working from home, so it's on their at home device, it's on their work device. We don't even know which device the information's on. So having it in the cloud and just being able to have that automation and collaboration, and then having the records people or the technology in the back kind of saying, okay, this is the record of, this is the official record here, and we're just going to follow that one through. That I see it happening. But it's, again, talking before, it's about your organization and what kind of resources you have. Like the federal government, they had a enterprise content management system. It worked great and it was a mandatory thing. But then you go to a smaller municipality that don't have those resources. So we still have to, how are they going to be able to do it? Like, how are they going to be able to tax their records? So that's why with like our conference as well, it's like we have these like great big digital transformation and these great talks, but we still need the records 101, and some of that still needs to be there to learn standardization and classification, that kind of stuff. I don't think it's ever going away. We also have to teach the machines that kind of stuff. So, I mean, it's been talked about for the last 10 years and it's really still kind of evolving. So I'd like to see it, Jason, but I don't know.
Yeah, it's I think it's like self-serving, like we want it to happen. And that to anybody who is a information management professional that's watching this, there is no way your job is going away. It's just going to become more important, because there's 200 legal citations that are changing every month around the world with respect to how you must manage your data. And that's even before internal policies for organizations like governments and others that are, so there's legal basis, there's policy basis, and who's keeping track of that? The computer's not just going to figure it out. You need people to make sure that that's happening. So I feel like the role is safe for a long time, but I feel the technology is unsafe. The technology is going to evolve quickly, but I think the role will be fine.
Like just talking to those data scientists before, it's like we can keep everything, and like I said, that was only about 3 or 4 years ago, and it's almost like when we were, garbage, and then realizing, oh wait, like single-use plastic is like, oh, all of a sudden, like we never thought about that before, plastic bags and plastic straws, and now it's like, oh, we have to be mindful of these kinds of things. And so did we see that happening 4 years ago? But now you see it changing. So that was the information management profession. That's what we were kind of doing. So it's great that we have an opportunity right now to make sure that we can be heard and use our discipline at the level that we should be, at the planning stages, and sitting with the IT people, the decision makers, and those people. And I think that's where we're trying to go and collaborate. Like, let's talk to the cybersecurity, let's talk to the data people, let's see what their needs are and how we can help them. Because I found in my own organization, the data scientists are there and they're supposed to analyze the data, but then they also get tasked with, like, okay, clean up that file share. Like, it's like, okay, that's not really what their job is, but they have, some data classification, data management. So
it all fits together, and it's you can't ask anymore in school, is this going to be on the test? Is like the test is life, and if it's kind of somewhat in your sphere, then a lot of times you just have to learn it.
That's why I think collaboration and so reimagining our profession and working together, I think is huge right now. So that's what we're looking forward to at ARMA Canada this 2022.
So tell me, as a closing note, let's talk to me a little bit about the 2022 Information Conference by ARMA Canada, and where can they find more about that and more about you, Shelly?
Okay, well, you can go to our website, armacanada.org, to find out more about the conference. We're very much planning and hoping, and fingers crossing, to be in Toronto on May 30th to June 2nd. And so we got a beautiful place on the harbor. It's a beautiful hotel. We got great venue. So we're very, very excited to be in person. I'm hoping to have a nice drink with Jason. Maybe you do karaoke. I'm not sure, but let's get together. So we're super excited about it. But we are also very much watching the current situation and making sure that all COVID provisions are in place. So just keep watching our website. And then, I'm on Twitter. I'm Shelly B. Smith on Twitter, and Shelly B. Smith on LinkedIn. So anybody has any questions or any ideas for me, I'd love it if they reached out, because like we're in the planning phases now, and we're always open to new ideas, and that's what we'd love to see. So I'm very excited that you're going to be there too.
Great. Thanks a lot, Shelly. And looking forward to doing karaoke with you in Toronto.